Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, the major plane warning that could affect airlines across the country, and the new storm set to pound the east during the busiest travel weekend of the year. This serious alert for a popular jet used around the world over a flight control issue that needs to be fixed. That warning may affect thousands of planes and flights just in time for the rush home from Thanksgiving. So how bad could the disruptions be? Plus, the winter blast beginning tonight. The Midwest already getting hit. You see it there. More than a foot of snow predicted in spots. And big travel hubs like Chicago, Dallas, New York, bracing for impact. We're timing it out. New images from that attack on National Guard troops showing the shooter and soldiers in the moments before and after. One Guard member now dead. The new charges against the suspect, an Afghan national, and the president's new pledge tonight to stop immigration from what he calls third world countries. And the other new threat from President Trump, warning strikes inside Venezuela are coming soon. The Secretary of Defense arriving on an aircraft carrier in the region. Chilling video of the terrifying moment a driver repeatedly rams a lift car, with police now saying the man slamming into them was the passenger's partner. Huge Black Friday crowds at malls across the country, but are the deals as good as they used to be? And there's good news tonight about the Friday night lights shining on a team lifting up one Texas town that's been hit so hard. Medley News starts right now. This is Sky News Today. It is 10 o'clock. I'm Samantha Washington with your headlines. Thousands of Airbus planes are hit with a software glitch causing disruption at airports worldwide. Number 10 denies claims that the Chancellor made misleading claims about the state of the public finances in the run-up to the budget. An overnight Russian drone and missile attack on Ukraine's capital leaves more than 500,000 without power, according to the country's energy ministry. Devastating landslides in Indonesia submerge houses and sweep people away, leaving 250 people dead. Authorities fear that number will rise. And we'll hear from Jeremy Corbyn, who's speaking live at the Your Party conference in Liverpool later this hour. A very good morning. Passengers have been warned. Tonight, Anthony Albanese ties the knot, becoming the first Prime Minister to get married while in office. Travel chaos after thousands of Jetstar's Airbus A320 planes are recalled. Hong Kong begins its mourning period, paying respect to those killed in one of the city's deadliest fires. And North Melbourne lead Brisbane Lions in the AFLW Grand Final, hoping to take out the competition for a second straight year. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Meredith Sheehan. It's been shrouded in secrecy, but it can now be revealed for the first time in Australia's history. A Prime Minister has married while in office. Anthony Albanese and his partner Jodie Hayden tied the knot in a small private ceremony at the lodge in Canberra today. The modest wedding was only attended by a carefully chosen few. Lifting the veil on the Prime Minister's best-kept secret. Anthony Albanese and Jodie Hayden tied the knot today at the PM's Canberra residence. Their dog Toto, the ring bearer, and a special edition of the PM's signature beer for the reception celebrations.
Asia Now.
It's 6 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 3:30 in New Delhi, and 5 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Keith Liu. At this hour, polls in the eastern Malaysian state of Sabah have closed in what's seen as a precursor to the next general election. The campaign's been dominated by long-standing issues of water supply, electricity, and road infrastructure. Floods and landslides across Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia have killed more than 400 people as a late-season monsoon surge and a tropical storm batter the region. Sri Lanka is also reeling with more than 120 dead in its worst floods in 30 years. Plus, Japan Airlines, Jetstar, and Air New Zealand among carriers cancelling several flights after Airbus recalled more than half of its best-selling A320 global fleet.
Let's bring in Winston Marshall, former Mumford & Son band member and host of the Winston Marshall Show. So great to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Real quickly, first off, just big picture, what are your overall views, thoughts on what you've seen the last couple of days?
Yes, Charlie. Well, as America grieves this terrible murder of Sarah Beckstrom, I think I've been thinking about legal migration. And I put this to you, it's often forgotten. There's a lot of talk about illegal immigration, but America is the most generous country in the world when it comes to legal migration. There is 1 million legal migrants into America every single year, and this murderer was one of them. Now, I bring this up, there's a lot of speculation about what the possible motive was. Was it political? Did he have mental illness? There's reports that he shouted Allah Akbar before the murder, and I've got a lot of thoughts about what kind of God thinks that this is a good thing, but we can speculate about assimilation, all of these things. But there's one thing that we know for sure, is that this is a double insult, because not only was it a terrible crime, but this man came into America. America, good, God-fearing Christian America, let in this man, and this is how America was repaid. And that is, for me, horrifying. Now, you'll remember last year, of course, Laken Riley, famously murdered by an illegal immigrant. And Trump has been doing a lot to deal with the illegal immigration problem. But look at my country. Look at England. It's not just illegal immigration that's destroyed our country. It's mass legal migration. And not enough people are brave enough to have that conversation. This is what the elites in Britain have not been brave enough to say. Not all cultures are equal. And that has cost us, and pray that America does not make the same mistake. I'll give you an example. 2 months ago, in Manchester, a man called Jihad al-Shami, you'd think with the first name Jihad, we might have second thoughts about letting him into the country. Syrian-born, British citizen, legal, killed 2 Jews at a synagogue in Manchester. Manchester, the same city where in 2017, 22 innocents, mostly children, teenagers, were killed at an Ariana Grande concert by the son of a legal migrant. The problem isn't just illegal immigration, it's migration and the progeny of migrants. Not all cultures are equal. This man was an Afghan. In Britain, it's been reported that Afghans are 22 times more likely to commit sexual assault than British citizens. Not all cultures are equal, and I really hope America think about it. In fact, I'll add one more thing. Trump has put a moratorium and a halt on
This Friday night, pipeline pushback. From the BC government to MPs within the Liberal caucus, the divisions over Mark Carney's controversial energy MOU with Alberta.
It has no route. It has no funding. There is no company that is advocating for it.
And why the potential impact on the environment could be greater than first predicted. The Canadian economy dodges a bullet.
It's not a recession, but it's tough out there.
The indications it's holding up, but just barely. Beefing up Canada's extortion strategy, the new funding from the federal government to assist victims and investigations. And a sister act that's gained the world's attention. Why 3 octogenarian Austrian nuns escaped from their retirement home and the habit they may refuse to break.
joining us. Liberal MPs insist their caucus is unified tonight despite a high-profile cabinet resignation in the wake of yesterday's pipeline memorandum of understanding between Prime Minister Mark Carney and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. Stephen Guilbeault called the agreement a serious mistake in his resignation letter, and he's not alone. Mackenzie Gray reports on the Liberal Party's efforts to calm backlash in British Columbia and with the First Nations opposed to the project.
Despite divisions with Ottawa, BC Premier David Eby spent his day with nearly every BC Liberal MP the day after the pipeline agreement.
It has no funding. There is no company that is advocating for it. It is solely, at this point, a communications exercise from the province of Alberta.
Despite Eby's opposition, he admits the federal government can push a pipeline through, but it's a different calculus with First Nations, who the courts have said Ottawa must provide reasonable accommodation to and have a duty to consult with, something they have not done.
To date, there has been no direct engagement or consultation with our communities on this MOU.
Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson only reached out to coastal BC First Nations on Wednesday, after the details of the Alberta-Ottawa deal had already been agreed to.
We have a responsibility to make sure proper consultation happens.
Friday, Hodgson met with Eby, who's worried an oil pipeline could ruin other deals with First Nations, like the over $30 billion LNG. Not consulting First Nations, one of the reasons Culture Minister and former Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault gave for quitting Cabinet Thursday evening. Publicly, Liberals aren't worried about any more caucus issues.
It's completely understandable that he would.
Right now on Good Morning America, Bert Brooks, one of the National Guard members shot in Washington, D.C., has died.
She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. She's looking down at us right now.
What we are learning about the suspected shooter as Trump orders a review of all Afghan nationals living in the U.S. The fallout this morning.
Russian President Vladimir Putin putting peace efforts into question after saying Ukrainian President Zelensky lacks legitimacy. What this means for the push to end the war as world leaders react.
Black Friday bust? As tighter budgets and economic woes stunt the shopping season, how major retailers are tempting Americans this Black Friday, and why experts say you should skip the buy now, pay later plan.
And sealed with a kiss, the amazing moment a hero mailman popped the question, what made this proposal so special?
And we're taking a look back at some of the stories from the past year that we are most thankful for.
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America, First Look.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sophie Flight.
And I'm Lionel Moise. We begin this morning with the death of Sarah Beckstrom, one of the two National Guard members gunned down while on patrol in Washington, D.C.
This is DW News live from Berlin. Airbus scrambles to fix a flight control vulnerability in the world's best-selling jet. An investigation of one flight's sudden altitude loss leads to worldwide disruptions as the aircraft giant updates software to prevent data loss caused by solar radiation. Also coming up, monsoon rains inundate parts of Southeast Asia. Hundreds have died from flooding and landslides in Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Plus, Pope Leo visits a historic mosque in Istanbul and prepares to sign a joint declaration with the head of the world's Orthodox Christians in hopes of healing a 1,000-year-old rift.
Tightens the grip a little more each day. Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.
Welcome back to Paris Direct on France 24. These are your headlines this hour. Major disruptions to global travel this Saturday after Airbus announces one of the biggest recalls in its 55-year history, ordering urgent repairs for thousands of its passenger planes. Explosions are heard across Ukraine's capital throughout the morning as Russia targets residential buildings and energy infrastructure, killing at least one person. And reports emerged that the US military conducted a follow-up strike on a boat in the Caribbean, killing survivors of an initial attack back in September.
Africa News. The news.
Former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan is accusing Guinea-Bissau's leader of carrying out a ceremonial coup to hold on to power. The takeover followed reports of heavy gunfire near the presidential palace, erupting only 3 days after national elections.
For want of better word, I'll say maybe it was a ceremonial coup. Because two things. It is the President Barrow, that announced it. Before later, the military man came up to address the world that they were in charge of everywhere. Then Barrow had already announced it, which is strange. Not only announcing the coup, but Barrow, while the coup took place, was using his phone and addressing media organizations across the world that they had been arrested.
Mbale was already facing a legitimacy crisis, with the opposition insisting his mandate had expired and refusing to recognize him as president.
Military don't take over government, and the sitting president that they overthrew would be allowed to be addressing press conferences and announcing that he has been arrested. But does this happen? Who is fooling who? Basically, what happened in Guinea-Bissau is quite disturbing to me, who believes in democracy.
Guinea-Bissau's long history of coups looms large again, with analysts warning the latest turmoil threatens fragile democratic gains in a nation already battered by poverty and drug trafficking.
Somalia, one of the world's poorest countries, is confronting a worsening health crisis following the dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, earlier this year by the Trump administration. The loss of funding has rippled through communities already struggling with conflict, poverty, and fragile public services.
It looks like the donors are fatigue. You only have two international NGOs are working in the hospital like this. One is called BSI and the other one IRC.
Today, the federal government, confined to a heavy fortified zone near Mogadishu's airport, struggles to project authority beyond the capital, even with support from the AU peacekeepers, while bombings and gun attacks by Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab have declined in recent months, leading some to credit President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed's total war strategy. Somali civic leaders argue that military gains are coming at the expenses of essential services.
The significant amount of the domestic revenue generated by the government goes to the security sector. So that's quite an indication that security remains the first priority for the government.
Despite the bleak outlook, many Somalis remain reliant on Mogadishu's few functioning public hospitals. For Dr. Mohamed Adam Dini, a member of parliament representing Puntland State, the crisis...
Thank you for watching Ahmed Shakil 5858. I am Ahmed Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.